Great to see so many people in here today. You are in the room for Mobility 223, bringing it all together with Enterprise Mobility Suite. And basically, we're going to talk to you a little bit at the beginning about what Enterprise Mobility Suite is, and then we'll show you lots of stuff. How many people here saw the keynote and the EMS stuff in that? Well, hopefully most people were at the keynote. So yeah, really good demos. We're going to go a little bit deeper than that and show you a little bit more behind the scenes on what's going there. But I want to start off by making sure that everyone's clear on what Enterprise Mobility Suite is. What do you get in the box, as it were? And sort of articulate a bit why it's a valuable suite. Why is it a good thing to group these products together? The next thing we're going to do is give you a view from the user's perspective, a day in the life with EMS. We'll show you a bunch of demos of EMS working in action. And just basically demonstrate how it makes users' lives easy. And as good as it is for users to have easy lives, it's a bit scary for IT. So we'll then flip it over and show how the IT side view of the world looks and how even though the user's life is made easy, IT still has a lot of control. All right, so that's the plan. I'm Craig Pringle. I'm the Cloud and Infrastructure Practice Manager for NZIST. It means I lead a team of architects and engineers who go and design and build cloud-based solutions for our customers. And I'm joined on the stage today by Derek Moore.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name's Derek Moore. I work for Microsoft. I'm based out of Singapore, and I lead the Enterprise Mobility Suite, which is what we're going to be talking about today, across all of Asia. So, thanks, Craig.
All right. So let's get into it. First off, let's start with what is the Enterprise Mobility Suite. And basically, there's three core products in the suite. You can buy each of these individually. That's absolutely fine. But really, I think as Brad highlighted in the keynote presentation, it begins with identity, and that's Azure AD Premium. That's basically your identity in the cloud. The next component is the mobile device and application management, which is Windows Intune. You can buy that separately as well, and it brings a bunch of functionality there. And last but not least is the rights management, protecting the data at the source. And there's a suite of tools in the RMS. And a lot of people look at this and they think, actually, I get that with Office 365, don't I? Because Office 365 does use Azure AD as a directory. You can do some app and mobile device management from the Office 365 portal. You get RMS with 365.
Just for the people at the back, there's a couple of seats up here at the front. Sorry, Craig.
That's right. That's fine. And to an extent, that's correct. You do get some of this stuff with Office 365, but the thing to bear in mind with all of these products, they're a superset of what you get in Office 365. So there's additional functionality that you get when you buy AD Premium that you don't get, and that's things like the self-service password reset, and multi-factor authentication is a lot more powerful in the premium version. Just as a note, for all of these products in the slide deck, so you'll be able to download the slides at the end. I've got some great slides that I stole from Microsoft. But it gives me a nice tabular view of here's the functions and features you get in the 365 version. Here's the ones you get in the premium versions. So when you grab the slide deck, grab those out the back of it. I won't put them up here because they don't display well on a big screen, but they're really good reference material. So make sure you have a look at that down the track. All right. So why is this important? I think no one's going to argue with this. Mobility is just normal these days. There's some interesting stats there. I'm sure that in this room, this audience, those numbers will be massively skewed and much higher. But we're the leading indicator for what's going to happen to the rest of the organizations out there. So like 2/3 of employees are working using personal devices for work. And again, I do that all the time. And they're saying by 2020, a quarter of the software will be available as SaaS. I tell my customers, if you're looking to replace a line of business app, look for a SaaS version. Look for something you can deploy as software as a service and make sure that integration with Azure AD Premium is one of your feature lists. Because you know what? When you've been running applications in your environment, that's how you've been treating Active Directory. You don't go looking for applications that don't integrate with Active Directory. Identity is moving to the cloud. Applications are moving to the cloud. Make sure they talk. And last but not least, everyone works away from the desk. Again, in this room, that would be massively high. I mean, most of you are working now. I can see it. So this is just the situation that we're dealing with. And what's driving that, Derek?
Yeah, so let me talk you through some of this change and try and help you understand where we think about where mobility is coming from and why we think the driving factors are what they are. And also, given that we're an IT audience, how that plays out to us and how we support our end users. The key thing here is over on this far side, we've got the user who wants to be able to be mobile, who wants to be able to have their ability to roam where they want to roam, use their apps where they want to use their apps. They shift their life in different ways in the way that they're accessing their data. They'll sit on a train and they'll access their data on a train, or they'll get up in the morning and they'll check their email as they're making their cup of coffee in the morning or getting in between getting the kids dressed for school. And so they need to be able to do that because that's what they want to do, and business wants them to do that because we get further productivity out of them as a result of providing those capabilities. Over on this other side, we've got the old IT department going, how do I make this secure? How do I keep this data safe so that I'm not losing important information, right? That's extending, though, beyond the likes of email. If we go back a few years ago, it was the word was the BlackBerry. Everybody had a BlackBerry. Everybody ran around and punched out emails on their BlackBerry, and I'm sure there's a lot of us in the audience that had one of them at some point in time, right? But that's now started to move into the app ecosystem, and there's so many different apps that are coming out that are actually business focused. It started with the consumer world, and games and Angry Birds and all those exciting things, but as we move forward, we're starting to see, automation applications like our CRM coming down onto your devices, and how do you use that when you're out with a customer, right? And then probably the most important thing is all of a sudden, I've got 64 gig worth of space in my back pocket, and how do I manage that and control that data and know that my data is safe, right? And so as a user, it's about smashing all of this together and being super functional. But as an IT perspective, it's about making sure that we've got that level of security. And it's about this massive intermesh of actual usage and the way that people use this technology that's driving that change. So how do we do this? We need to enable our users, right? We need to enable our IT department to protect it. And so there's the three pillars that Craig talked about there earlier on, about hybrid identity, about giving that person an identity. That person's identity has to be at the heart of everything they do. We want that person to be that person on whatever device they want, which means they need to get access to all of their applications and all of their information and their data from which device they want to use. Right? And so we do that through hybrid identity with the Azure AD Premium, right? We provide a level of security around management of those devices. There's plenty of vendors out in the market. I think we have some unique features that we're going to show you today that sort of differentiate how we do that, especially around making that end user productive, right? That's the key part. How do we make that end user productive with the tools that they're using and they're comfortable with using, right? And then, the final one, tracking that data. It's great to put it in a secure box and lock it away, but what happens if I can get that data out and email it to someone? I've lost control of it. We want to maintain control of that data for the entirety of its life if it's company data that we want to own, right? If I'm a manufacturer and I want to send a drawing, of the latest, diesel motor to a manufacturer, then I want them to be able to not share that information to my competitors, right? And so how do I control that capability, right? And then the one at the top, and it's an interesting one, which is desktop virtualization. That fits in this overall conversation, right? So application and desktop virtualization are absolutely mission critical in being able to deliver this. The difference is why is it's not part of what we do with EMS is because typically that doesn't hit the entire enterprise. We are not necessarily hitting the SaaS users who need to sign in to their SaaS application across the entire enterprise. This is specific use cases only. It has a place and it fits in this conversation, which is why it's up here on the slide. It's just not an end-to-end scenario. And so what I thought I would do is sort of take you through the evolution of, sort of how mobility and how we think about mobility has gotten us to where we are today and how EMS and its technology has actually evolved. right? So if we start at the laptop, that was our first level of mobility. Oops, sorry, let me just go back. You know, it cost a bit of money with some risk in there. We went out, we produced some technologies around, you know, typical technologies like BitLocker to secure that device or encryption in folders. From there, we started to see some more devices, and so what we did was we actually went out and we created a silo for MDM, and everybody's familiar with this. And we actually, you know, mitigated that risk by adding cost, and so this was our second silo that was introduced. SaaS apps came along, so people started signing into this, and we needed identity solutions over and beyond what we had on premise today and how we actually got access to that. And so we created another silo that we actually put in place for users to get access to it. Then the data scenario came where how do I manage that data? How do I make sure that that data is secure as it goes out to my end users and beyond those users to the next person, right? How do I track that data? How do I have the ability to pull it back from that person if I don't want them to have it anymore, right? If they leave my organisation, how can I be comfortable that they haven't taken that data on a CD, for example? Or CD's a bit old now, I guess.
Show your age, buddy.
Stuck it in a cloud storage somewhere. And then, you know, it's this whole anywhere model, right? Because this is really where all of this stuff starts to converge, and you can go out to any app store and download any number of different products and be able to securely do that. And so how do you actually do that? And then the actual VDI and the RDS type scenarios that we're actually using today, and how do I secure that? And then it's this next big thing, right? So how do we actually put ourselves in a position that the next Uber that comes into the world is a manageable type solution for a business, right? How do we position ourselves and actually have some forward thought about doing that? If we stay back in these particular silos, we go and buy the best of breed MDM solution or the best of breed of that, the best of breed of the next thing. How do we actually get ourselves to be able to support this? Well, we probably have to buy another thing, right? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Right, and so that scenario here is EMS is a technology that we continue to add to. As most of you are very familiar with, Microsoft are the bundle kings. We tend to continually add technologies into the suite to make sure that you're more secure, to make sure that you got more functionality. And that's purely what this is about. It's about addressing that next big thing. It's about having a future state. It's about retiring the silos of technology that you have in your organisations today. Sort of talk through that slide a little bit quick there. So yeah, bringing this all together, being able to control this environment from here across, and then being able to address these areas as we move forward. Great.
Very good. All right, so I'll just swap over to one we prepared earlier. Do you want to just swap those cables for us?
You'd be happy to know that was the last slide. I've just pulled out the cable for these slides.
Yeah. Cool. So we'll just minimize that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a bit of a scenario here. And this is a day in life first up, but from a user perspective. How do users actually interact with EMS on a day-to-day basis? The first thing we're going to show you is domain join a Windows 10 machine. And while I'm setting this up, I'll just keep talking as well. This is something that a lot of you probably won't do in your organizations. I'm showing it to you because there's specific use cases where it's useful, but it's not for everyone. I just want to sort of demonstrate, I suppose, what it is and what benefits it gives you so that you can then use that to judge if it's right for your scenario or not.
This is a vanilla box. It's straight out of, it's just a straight standard Windows 10 install with a copy of Office put on top. There's no tricks and wizardry behind this. To be 100% honest, and if you could all give us a second and give us a pray. We actually haven't even tested the actual joint, so let's see how this works, shall we? This is how confident we are.
All right, so basically we just go in here, we go add a work school account.
When we talk about the silos, one of the features that we offer as part of Azure AD Premium is the ability to offer a multi-factor authentication. Many of you probably have one of those solutions in place today. Part of this domain join functionality or this join functionality that we're...
Typo, sorry. No, that's good.
Proves that it's actually not a not a canned demo.
Yeah.
It's not a click-through. It's real. So the multi-factor authentication. So Craig's going to be prompted to put in a PIN. If he gets his password right. There we go.
Third time's the charm, no?
No. You got a D in after Ignite.
No, that's right. Insist Ignited is correct. Caps lock's not on. Okay, that's interesting.
Type it again.
Let me just jump.
Demo gods are not being friendly.
Sorry about this, guys. Let me just
Check there's no space at the front of your name.
Yeah.
You're not there.
Sorry. Interesting. Just
Do you want to move on to the next demo?
yeah. If you want to, I can't use an account for everything, so we need to sort of fix that.
Apologies, people.
Just bear with us a moment, guys. I'll sort this out.
Just going to reset the password.
Yeah.
Just going to reset the password and redo it.
Yeah, Gareth F. Yeah.
Maybe log in as admin first time. Oh, you can't. Won't be tied to your phone.
Hmm?
It won't be tied to your phone. As I say, log in as admin, but it's going to be tied to your phone.
Yeah, I'm logging in as admin now, but I'll just reset. So just bear with me, guys. I'm just using the other computer. I'm just going to reset the password and carry on. So apologies for that. So we go to the right portal.
Let me just, while Craig's doing that, can I just maybe ask a couple of questions? Does anybody know of EMS before they went to the keynote this morning? That's actually pretty good. I'm glad. I'd be disappointed. Is anybody using EMS today in their businesses? Oh, wow. Okay. That's great. That's great. All right. Let's try again, shall we?
Yeah, that's right.
That one.
So the demo guides are not being kind. I've just got the Azure portal spinning as well at the moment, so it's not loading, so I can reset it. Yeah, thanks. No, it's still not working. What we'll do is we'll just move on from this one. Let me start by explaining, I suppose, when you do Azure domain join a machine. So there's a couple of scenarios that make a lot of sense. And the thing I wanted to show you first before I actually talk through this was how many of you have seen the My Apps portal if you're using Office 365? And are you using that with a domain joined machine or just an Azure AD domain joined machine? So the experience is quite different with an Azure AD domain joined machine. When you hit the My Apps portal and your Azure AD joined, it just passes through. There is no logon from the user, so you get that seamless single-on experience to the My Apps portal. And then when you go into the subsequent applications, it'll pass through the single sign-on credentials. So it's a much more seamless experience, and that's what leads to it being, the first use case for an Azure AD domain joined machine is when most of your applications are SaaS-based applications, and if they're accessed by that apps portal, and you're not running a lot of applications on your own premises, then Azure AD joining the machine makes a really, really good user experience, if you can log in. All right.
Where they almost there.
Go to domains.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other scenario that's really good for Azure AD joining machines is when they are temporary or contract users, and you're giving them a machine, you just join it to Azure AD, and at the end of their stint, you revoke their access and it's gone. There's nothing required. Right, so it's finally loaded. Let's just
Quick password reset.
it's bizarre. We
Just try it one more time. Just give it a second to. No, no, no.
yeah.
Switching back to Microsoft email sign-in.
So let me try the work. You scroll way down in this menu in the work access.
One more down.
Yep.
Yeah, and then when you click here, you scroll, click there,
Yeah.
and then scroll all the way down at the bottom in the next view. Because here, this is a Microsoft like personal account.
Sorry.
Work or school account, that blue link down the bottom.
Yeah, that one.
Would be the one.
Yeah. Did you get remember the password?
Yeah. Let's reset it again. Three fives? Yeah, 357.
Hang on.
Still not liking it.
NSYST.
Yeah, but these pull belong to it's like that's our accounts and this one.
Hey, there you go. Sorry about that, guys.
You can change your password to what you know.
Once you make a mistake and get a bit flustered, I can just throw you.
There we go.
All right, so that's good. Yeah, got the mobile, it's all good. So what we're doing now is waiting for an SMS message, and we've set up multi-factor authentication with this so that it sends me a SMS eventually, and then we will crack that in and move on.
this is a one-time multi-factor authentication password. So once he punches this in, it's identified him as who he is, and then because there was a device tied directly to him, it enables him to sign into this portal without knowing that it is actually him, potentially.
That's just cruel.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
On the keyboard.
Can you fail?
it's a Windows Phone 10 bug. It's hiding behind the keyboard. There we go. There we go. That's the right one.
The real challenge is we need this account for the rest of the demonstration, which is why we couldn't move on from this.
Cool.
That was just letting him change a password. That was letting him change his password because we had to reset his password. Now we need to get the authentication code to log us into the account. There we go. If this works, I think it needs a round of applause because it's finally going to happen.
Definitely know it's not been staged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The demo guides can be cruel sometimes. All right, all good. So the first one was the multi-factor, as Derek was saying. The first one was multi-factor. Multi-factor auth for the password reset. This is the multi-factor auth for the domain join, which is what we should have seen all along.
The very first time. So we wind back 8 or 9, maybe 10 minutes ago.
Oh, right. And the last thing we'll need to do is basically sign out and sign in again as that account.
We can just move on if you want.
All right, so I won't actually do that. We'll call some time back. We've got, what I was going to show you was that sign-in experience, but I've just explained it, so we'll just carry on. All right. Okay, so the next thing I was going to show you, all right, nicely. Is hopefully this works, or I'm just going to.
So the idea was we were going to show you nice seamlessly roaming once we'd signed into that portal as that user, the ability to see the apps that were available to that user and then move across to a secondary device. It's Microsoft, as you've probably seen, we've undergone a bit of a transformation, and we now support a plethora of devices. We are open to any devices. We understand that customers have requirements, they have existing platforms, and as a result, that's enabled us to really open up and be able to support all of these devices so that people get the choice of what they want to use, yet they still get to use the best apps in class and the best management solution around that in class to be able to do that. So.
World's most secure demo password. It's just not signing me in.
Connected to the network? Yeah, you are.
Yeah, it's on.
Connected. Wow.
Wow, this has worked so many times in practice. It's insane. All right. What we'll do is we'll.
You guys didn't sacrifice the chicken this week.
It's
No.
been a great time. What can I say?
Sacrificed a cow last night at Moomoo, so that was pretty good. All right. All right.
noticed that the sign-on page redirected him to the company-branded portal when he put in his email address there. That helped them identify that it was actually a registered user within the system.
So I think we killed the last gremlin on that demo. So this is then the My Apps portal. So this is, if we'd seen the demo on the Windows 10 box, it would look very similar. So you hit a web page, you go to portal.office.com/myapps, and you get all your software as a service applications delivered up in the portal. This then on a iPad with that same My Apps application installed will show the same applications in the view, and it's easy enough to go and launch one of those. So I hit Twitter, and you'll see that will actually just redirect through, and it'll pop the username and account in for me. Just click login. And in this case, this particular user doesn't actually even know that password. This is the Twitter account for NSYS Ignited, who's having fun demonstrating things at Ignite. And that Twitter account is shared across the entire marketing department, so any marketing employee can access this through their My Apps portal, but they don't know the password.
Which is a really important part, right? So when we look at what role social media plays in today's organisations, if a disgruntled employee left or and knew the Twitter password or their Facebook password, then they could easily go ahead and actually, put some stuff up onto the web that is not very savoury. As a result, through Azure AD Premium, we're able to protect the organisation and control that from an IT perspective, where the people that use the tool are assigned the tool because they are who we say they are, but at the same time, they will never know that password. Thus, if they leave the organisation, they cannot take it with them.
And even if it's, sorry, you had a question?
I was just going to say, if they're assigned it though and they're logged in and they're still with the company, they could obviously then still go in and change the password though.
They
They'll
could.
log through as a user, then they get into Twitter, would they then be able to?
Yeah, so they can change the password, but you can also set up Twitter to send you an email notification and verification via SMS, so you can prevent them from doing that as well. But yeah, that's a good question. Sorry, did everyone hear the question? It was, couldn't the user just go into Twitter and change the password? And they can, but you can also prevent that from happening. Yep.
Is there auditing within the EMS that will say who's actually logged in at that sometime if somebody, just before they leave, decides to send an unsavory tweet?
Yeah, so there's auditing for all the application accesses. So you can see which user account actually accessed the software as a service application. And even if it's not malicious from someone within your organization, I know, has anyone ever had their corporate Twitter account hacked? It's actually, it's not that uncommon. And it's because, the users who are setting up those Twitter accounts are not necessarily IT people in the past, right? And they've put in, passwords that are weak, and weak passwords get hacked. So this is protecting people from themselves as well as protecting you from a malicious employee. It's not just about stopping your disgruntled employee. It's also stopping the nefarious person outside who's out there trying to brute force attack your password. Cool. All right, so just moving on now. Sorry. Where's that gone? Yeah, sorry. I was talking too much. All right, so the next thing we wanted to show you. Just close a few things. You can tell I'm not an iPad user. Next thing I wanted to show you was conditional access for email. This is a really powerful feature. So while I do this, if a user has a personal iPad and they want, without asking IT, they want to go and add their corporate email to that, what are they going to do? They're going to go to the native application and add a profile. So I'm just going to do that, and you can fill my gap. Yeah.
Yeah. So can I just get a show of hands? Does anybody know what conditional access is? Okay, that's good. There's one person in the audience. Okay, so most people are pretty familiar with the way most of the vendors today are offering email access, right? So they're creating a container, they're giving you a mail client, and essentially they're controlling that mail client within that environment. So we've done it very, very differently, right? So what we've done is essentially we make the users very familiar with the interface. So you use one particular email account. And what we're doing is we're giving the users that one email account to use both their personal email and their work email. But we're conditionally controlling what they can do with their work email. Their personal email is theirs, and we're going to show you some demos as to how this works. But think of it this way. We're splitting the application in half, personal and work. You, as IT admins, own that work part. You control. You can say you can't control, you can't copy, you can't paste. You know, you can't save files to my file shares or to, OneDrive or Dropbox or whatever tool you're using, right? We control that. On the flip side, within that same application, in their own personal email, they can do what they want, right? The reality is they can't forward the mail from their work account. The minute they try to do that, those capabilities aren't there, right? So we're giving them that functionality, but we're doing that across the whole Office suite, right? So in the same aspect, if you want to open an email from your email, open an attachment from your email into Word, for example, then you can do that, right? And that same conditional access features will flow across into that, right? This is where a lot of the other vendors get unstuck, because when they try to open up into Word, they're starting to lose control of what's actually happening with that document. Right? So maybe we'll...
All right, so what we can see here is, like, I've done what a user would do. I put in my email address, it's auto-discovered, I put in my password, and it's synced down exactly one message, which isn't in my mailbox, and it just says, you're not allowed to do this. Click here to get started to enroll your device. Just to save a bit of time, I've got the company portal, which I've installed on here earlier. And what I'm going to have to do is enroll the device. And if I clicked on the link, that's what the email would have told me. It's like, you need to enroll your device before you carry on with configuring it, and it has to be compliant before we'll sync any corporate data down to it.
Super secret password.
Yeah, that account's getting deleted later today, so don't worry about it. There's unfortunately no way to demo this without exposing that password. So. All right. As you can see, or can't see yet. Okay, there we go. Just as soon as you log in, it says, look, you need to enroll this device. We'll just click on enroll. Just going to think about it a bit more, churning the bits. Send me another text. Again, another one-time password just to prove that I am who I say I am. It does take a little minute or two to churn through, but again, from a user point of view, this is actually not too hard for them to follow. They can follow the bouncing ball and click through things as they go. Next thing that's going to happen is it's going to push down a profile. It's really lagging behind, but that's all right.
One of the things that, so Satya made an announcement earlier this week, and he talked about us being all in security as an organisation and how we're shifting our profile and our posture around doing this. And some of the features that we've released have actually, in combination with this, is actually around the EMS suite, and in particular, we just released a brand new feature, which is the MAM only feature. So everybody's familiar with MDM. I think everybody's familiar with MAM, right? A lot of organisations have made a commitment already around their MDM profile. They're tied into a solution in place today. And so what we've done is we're offering you essentially the ability to get the functionality that you're going to see here with conditional access, these MAM capabilities, on top of your existing MDM vendor that you have in place today. All right? It's it's a very unique offering that we're able to give because you get that full security, one app, splitting it in half with that conditional access, but at the same time, it's not about ripping and replacing your existing MDM vendor.
So this is just installing a management profile. That includes a certificate, so everything's encrypted back and forth between the device. And I don't know if you saw it, but I had to say, there's a little message from the IT department saying, hey, we're going to manage your device, and we have the ability to control it. I had to accept that, trust the certificate they've given me, and then I'm all done. So when that goes back to the company portal, it'll then start checking the device to see if it's compliant. And as I said before, it's not going to let me synchronize my mail down to the device until it is compliant. So anything that's not right, we'll have to remediate.
This is great in a scenario where a company is issuing devices and or where users are willing to enable to have their phone or their tablets or their PCs managed by an IT department. As I mentioned before, the solution that we're putting in place around the MAM only gives you the ability to not have that full MDM experience on that device. So if somebody leaves their phone in a taxi after a wedding and they've taken a bunch of photos, that we're not trashing that device and turning it into a brick. Right? What we're doing is we're actually just protecting the corporate data and only managing that corporate data. Right? So that then becomes the responsibility of the individual for their own device, if you like.
All right, so we can see that that's not in compliance. Just click back and it'll say, look, you actually need to enter a passcode. Sorry, the screen's lagging massively behind, so there we go. So click continue on that, and basically I have to set myself a passcode so that I can then be managed. Basically that will then when it rechecks the device, it says it's compliant, so I should change in a minute. And if I go back out to my email, it syncs down the rest of Gareth's email. So, which I can see, there you go. So everything there is now as it should be. I'm going to have a user who can access their email on the corporate managed device. All right. Let's move on. Kill that one off. All right, so the next thing I'm going to show you is some of the managed applications, and this will go into a bit as well. Some of the stuff that Derek was talking about earlier with the conditional access. So this is a phone we prepared earlier. I'll make that a bit bigger. All right, so what we've done on this phone is basically pre-staged a few things down. And you can see we've got the company portal there, and we've got things like Word and Outlook and Excel are all managed applications on the device. And we can see that in the company apps portal. Come on, slow little thing. I'll skip that. And you'll see it this way. So as I start up Outlook, you'll see a little dialog displayed saying this is a managed device. It's just breaking on me as well now.
You don't need this again, do you?
This. There's no way to enter the pin. So you can't see that. What it's doing when it goes away is it's saying enter your PIN, but it's not giving me a keypad to do it. So it's very helpful.
Clear.
Yeah.
Clear.
We'll kill everything off. There we go. Cool. So now as we go in here,
If you watch, it'll switch his portal to the right portal once he gets his address correct. I didn't mean it that way.
I can take it. And as you said that, I got it wrong as well. Thanks for that, buddy.
Can you guys natively integrate into capabilities of the phone with like all that sort of stuff right then?
Sorry, can you
So are you able to natively integrate some of these features into like the phone so that you'll be able to use like the fingerprint of say the iOS device to provide that identity up?
So it all depends on the APIs that are exposed. That's the real challenge, right? So with any vendor, we all are at, I guess, the mercy to the actual operating system and the device itself. So in some situations, yes, and in some situations, no. Controlled by the ecosystem that we're connecting to, I guess.
Look, I think
How do they interoperate with this native ActiveSync mail capability from say iPhone, for example? I mean, you have an Outlook app right there.
Yep.
Yep.
Which is controlled by Intune and stuff. Whereas conventionally before these days we've been controlling the mobile devices and the encryptions and whatever through ActiveSync mailbox policies. Now this comes into play. Do they actually disable? I mean, how do you actually enforce everybody to come under Intune managed devices?
Yeah, okay, so there's a couple of different ways we can do this. So, and obviously there's a couple of different ways that you can obviously access Exchange, right? So Exchange on-premise or Exchange in the cloud, and how we do that. So they both differ. It's probably a longer answer. If you could come up at the end, maybe we can spend 5 minutes and I'll talk you through that. Because it is actually two different answers in the way that we do that, right? And so there's stuff that you need to do on-prem to stop when you're going to the cloud and vice versa. So.
yeah. I'm going to skip the rest of the user demo, unfortunately, because the password reset has broken the device. I had that all pre-staged and already configured, and to go through and set it up again now is going to take too long. So I'm going to skip that and go to the
admin console.
The admin console. Yep. All right. So apologies for that. All right. So a couple of things I wanted to show you in here, and we'll start with inside Azure Active Directory. So, yep. So if we go back to the list inside Azure AD, I suppose this could also be relevant to one of the questions earlier. If you want to see what people have been doing, we'll find Mr. Fort that we were messing with earlier. And you can go into the activity report. So this is sort of a view of what this user's actually been doing over the last little while. And it's interesting viewing, actually, because I've been up here using this account for several days, doing lots of demos and run-throughs, and you notice the activities from all over Australia. So clearly the network's doing some pretty interesting things. That jumping out via Sydney and Brisbane, and I think Melbourne was in there somewhere as well when I looked last time. So, so you can see what they've been doing in there and what they've been accessing. We should be able to see a password reset in there somewhere as well. Yeah. So yeah, so that's good. The other thing I wanted to show you is in terms of kind of pushed for time now, so I'm going to skip some of that. All right. I know in the keynote, Brad mentioned the Cloud App Discovery. Has anyone actually seen that? So when I said earlier, if you're using lots of SaaS applications, the Cloud App Discovery is a fantastic way to find out what they are. So I'm going to do something a little bit cheeky. So this is what the Cloud App Discovery would look like for an organization. This one's actually a mock-up. It's a fake with lots of data in here. And you can click in that and drill down and see the applications that are running. So there's 1,400 odd applications it can detect. The way this works, I'll show you that in a real portal. So what I'll do is go back to this one. I'm going to switch over to the preview portal.
The beauty of being able to identify the apps on premise is we've created agreements with many vendors in the market. The most recent one was SAP, where we're able to manage and actually sign you into their cloud-based systems, right? And so by doing that, you're able to go to the Azure site, drag across the actual configuration data that you need to enable you to control the single sign-on for that user and control what they can access into those SaaS applications.
Yeah. So this is one that I installed this morning. So you can see it gathers data really quickly. So I put the agent on this particular laptop, and just the things I've browsed to and things like that, it's identified, various 12 different applications. Some of them are managed, some of them aren't. And what we can do with those, as you can see, it identifies what the application is. You can click on it, you can drill into it, you can find out, there's the recommendation is what you can do with it. You can manage that with Windows Azure AD, but you can also see who's using it. So a lot of organizations have no idea about half the applications that their users are using. This is a fantastic tool to help discover those. It does rely on Azure AD Premium, but you can do that with a trial as well. So fantastic tool to go and discover those applications to figure out, how big is our issue here. Yeah, so anything running Windows 7.
7 and up.
Yeah, 7 and up.
Anything on
Not,
iOS and stuff?
no, it's purely, and I'll show you why that is in a minute. So what we'll do is we'll just, in terms of how do you get that information, if we go into the settings for the Cloud App Discovery, you see we've got this Manage Agent blade, right? Now, the first thing you have to do in here is you have to tell it what you want the agent to tell the users. There's a couple of options here. I'm fairly ruthless and basically say, just collect it, don't tell them anything. You cannot deploy this without setting one of those options. So you have to choose one of those, and you can either just collect it and not tell them, or you can inform them and then collect it anyway, or you can prompt them and require their permission. Depends on your organization. So if we close out of that, once you've configured that, the download link becomes live, and that will give you a little zip file that's got a certificate that's unique to your tenant, so you can secure and manage that, and the executable itself. And the other thing you've got down the bottom here is how do you actually get this out to your users. There's deployment guides both for deploying it via group policy and deploying it via System Center. So those tools that you have today, they're really easy to push it out with those, and it's all basically baked into the portal, very easy to find. It's just SSL. Yeah. Sorry, the question was, do you need specific ports open for that to communicate back up? But it is just SSL porting back up to Azure. So it will just work. And I deployed that this morning, and within minutes I had it reporting back to me. I found applications I didn't even know I had. And so I use an app called Hootsuite. Is anyone familiar with that? Hootsuite actually pulls into 2 or 3 other cloud services. Little do I know, but that's the power of the tool. It really does open your eyes. So again, you push that out across your entire organization. I guarantee you will find all sorts of weird stuff. All right. Any questions on any of that?
That's just purely SaaS app, yeah.
That is SaaS apps,
Yeah,
yes.
it's designed
Yeah.
for SaaS apps. If you were to do it on premise, you'd be using something like Config Manager to actually monitor that environment. Yeah.
Yeah, so another question down the back?
So that reports it up into the cloud.
Yep.
Can you do analysis on it with
So the question is, can you do analysis on it? So you
You can download the report.
yeah, you can export it into Excel and then export it into an Excel file and then do whatever you like with it. Yeah, so you can manipulate that.
The analysis isn't
console.
done there. The analysis would be done locally. So you'd bring that down, understand what you're doing in your business. And
Yeah, but yeah, certainly the sorry, follow up.
Just one other question. Can you have a Windows 10 machine with both cloud join and domain join so that you get your single sign-on to the MyApps portal?
No. So the question was, can you have both, the best of both worlds? You know, cloud domain joined and joined to an Active Directory domain, and unfortunately, no, it's one of the other at the moment. So you can, if you have a domain joined machine though, you can use something like AD Connect to connect up and get the same sign-on experience across it both, but you don't get that seamless pass-through.
That's exactly how we work. So we use
Yeah.
AD Connect internally. We have the company portal that we're able to access, but we're actually signing on to a domain, right, within Microsoft. That's exactly how we work.
Yeah. All right. Okay, the last thing I wanted to show you before we move on, if we go back to Azure Active Directory. So look, the other thing, I'm cutting a little bit of this short, but the other thing I think is really, really powerful is that deploying apps out to users in your Azure Active Directory. So I just wanted to show how that actually works. So we'll go into the domain here and into the Applications tab. And you'll see that all the applications that were showing up in our portal earlier are sitting in here. I'm just going to add another one, all right? Because I want to talk through the options that we get here. So if we just pull one from the gallery, and if we just add Twitter again.
This is the gallery I
We
was
spelled
talking
Twitter
about
right.
before, where you're able to sign into multiple applications.
Yep. So you give it a personal name. So I know you will have seen this already. I already have Twitter on there, and that's the corporate Twitter application, right? And I want people to not know the password for that. But I can have a personal one. So you can take the same application and publish it multiple times to different groups. And make it available to whoever you want, basically. And when you go into the application, you've got a couple of options for how you allow people to authenticate to that. And really, there's two, but it shows 3 links. So let me explain what there's fundamentally 2 different ways you can authenticate to a software as a service application via Azure AD. And let's configure single sign-on. We'll see that link. You can basically either use federated sign-on, where you're effectively using SAML, like ADFS, to authenticate and do that single sign-on, or you can have Azure AD pass the password through on your behalf. So if we go into the password one, that's then broken down a little bit further, because you have 2 ways you can do that. Sorry. So you can basically have it so that you prompt users. We're going to configure here. Sorry, user groups. Give this to a security group. So you have different rules. I'll give it to IT just for a laugh. IT need to tweet more. And this is the important thing. So you can basically say, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the application available to people, and they can enter their own Twitter account credentials. So once they've done that, you're no longer managing that password. You're not dictating what the password is for them. You're just basically going to store their credentials and submit it on their behalf. So that's just allowing users a really easy way to have a single sign-on experience that other things they use, as opposed to forcing the password. So in both cases, when you're using password sign-on, you can either dictate what that password is going to be, or you can allow the users to set their own. So really useful, powerful stuff. All right. And again, I think that's a fantastic little feature of the Azure AD. All right. I'm just conscious of time. Any questions on any of that? I'm going to open the floor to questions? There's a lot of stuff that we didn't show, so I suppose if there's anything that you want to see, we can.
So with EMS, in terms of Android, is there any way to deploy the Office apps to the actual devices? So they would in tune?
As in, I push the
Yeah, like either Knox or Android for Work or any other APIs.
so not so much by pushing them. You can go into the company portal, and so you have to pull the company portal application, and then you get the managed applications for Android, and then you can go through and install each one. But yeah,
Basically means the end user has
yes,
to do
correct.
Has to select them.
Yeah. So that is. So the question was, is there any way to push applications out to the Android devices? And the answer is not at the moment. At the moment, it's very much a pull from the end users. All right.
Do you have an update with the volume app purchasing for iPad? Apple iOS devices through issue?
Oh, that's a good question.
Sorry.
So I'll defer that one. So the question.
What's the volume purchasing for iOS devices? I know it says in development on the roadmap.
So the question was, is there any update, any product announcements to date on
Not something that I'm going to say that's recorded.
yeah, on the roadmap for volume
Come
app
and talk to me after the
updates
session.
for iOS?
So it's still in process. I'm sorry. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. But yeah, it is. Oh, you
Two
made
chairs.
him nervous. Jeez.
Thank you.
I might have had a shocker, but I never fell off the stage.
I didn't fall. It was the chairs. Anyway. Yeah. Come and see me afterwards, and we'll talk about it. Okay. I'm sorry that I can't give that out in a public forum.
That's right. Any further questions, guys? No? All right. Well,
All
look, apologies for the demos. As I say, I had a shocker, so I'll put my hand up for that one. But if you do have any further questions, you want to see something, you can come see us down at the stand at Optus. I can run you through a few other demos. Sorry, another question? Or no? I can run you through more demos. I think we'll be in there at lunchtime as well. So if there's anything particularly you want to see, we can go and run through things there as well at 1 o'clock. All right. Well, thanks very much for coming, guys.